Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. How you doing? You ready to go? You ready for another beautiful day here in paradise? Yeah, sun came up over the top of the hill. It was peaking. You could see it. Beautiful, sunlit across the valley. And I mean, it was gorgeous. I mean, how could you not be happy with all the beautifulness that is here in the state of Alaska right now? I hope wherever you are listening in the state that you are also enjoying a beautiful day here as things get started for this Thursday edition of the show. Short week, and that's always great. That's always the benefit of a 3-day weekend, is that short week. Tomorrow is Firearms Friday, where we're going to sound off on issues of a 2A nature. Don't know who we're going to be working with tomorrow. We might have some guests. We might not. Just depends on kind of how things go today. We'll see what goes on with it today. It's going to be you and me today here on the program. I don't have any guests, although I did have some delayed intelligence yesterday, and I was like, I was wishing I'd ask a couple more questions of Sarah Vance yesterday when we had her on the program, and we'll get to that here in a little bit and to tell you why, because I have questions. I have questions about what's coming up in this next fiscal or this next session. I have questions, and we're going to see what comes of that here in the coming months as we get ready to go through all this stuff. But we do have a bunch of headlines that we can go over and talk about and discuss. But most importantly, I thought today, since it's been a while, that it would be a good time to throw the phone lines on And no, we're not going to have Alec Baldwin on about gun safety tomorrow. That's not. Somebody in the chat room just said Alec Baldwin for gun safety. No, we're not going to have Alec Baldwin on for gun safety tomorrow. Probably never. That would probably be a never for me on this. But we decided to throw the phone lines open here this morning and see what it looks like for you. So we're going to open up the phones for anything that you guys want to talk about today. 319-527 3864 319-527 3864 if you would like to be part of it and to talk with me today. There's something that you've been wanting to discuss, something that we've gone over that's tickled your funny bone or really irked you, one of those things. We'd love to hear from you. So feel free to give us a call. 319-527-3864 this morning. We're going to open up the phone lines all day. All morning, I guess it should be in that regard. If you hear me pause this morning, it's probably because I'm drinking water. I'm a little stuffy today. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but I'm a little stuffy and feel like I need to be drinking a lot more hydration stuff here this morning. And no, it's not vodka. Jeez, man. Before I headed that off right in the chat room because that was going to be the next comment. Chat room could be vicious. Hey, these guys, man. I'll tell you what. All right. So as we get ready to wrap up the session, it's raining in the interior. It's starting to rain in Soldovia, but it is 47 degrees. Not quite that cold here. It's about 49 and clear skies for the most part. One of the things I've discovered about living where we live now is that you have no idea what the weather's going to be like in half an hour. I mean, it could be bright and sunshiny, and then 45 minutes later, you're walking in the clouds. It's like a fog bank all around. And then later it's raining, and then the sun comes back out, and it's like, what? Welcome to Alaska. If you don't like the weather, just wait 15 minutes. It's going to be crazy. Is it pollen? Is that what it is? I've never been really affected by allergies, but I will tell you, I'm I'm definitely feeling something right now, and it ain't good. Somebody just said there's a lot of pollen in the air. So we get it gets there. All right. Well, some of the stories, let me highlight some of the stories that I'm going to be talking about today. We've got the repeal of the just passed mandatory ID check in Anchorage. Go figure. People were upset about it. We've also got the further discussions. We touched on it yesterday. But we've got a little bit deeper dive into what's going on with the Department of Revenue and the auditing things and stuff like that. And although I still stand by some of my statements yesterday, I am starting to wonder what exactly is going on in the Dunleavy administration with some of the things that are happening there. We'll also do a recap of everything that was covered by the legislature in their 4 months. Again, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. James Brooks has got an article that kind of goes through it all. It's a very well written article. I admire James. He writes some good stuff. I don't always appreciate the fact that he doesn't always look for alternative viewpoints, but he is one of the better writers out there in the I was going to say blogosphere, but that's not right. In the journalistic sphere, I guess I should say. That would be the answer there. We're also going to talk about we're also going to talk about what's coming this next session. We know what's coming this next session. It's going to be a huge push to spend more on education already. And we're going to talk about why that is and where all this pressure is coming from. And that is the NEA majority. That's a voting block inside the legislature. And there's a good breakdown here on this that we will talk about as well. And both Sitka and Juneau I mean, first you thought they, lost their minds and cut off their noses to spite their face. But it turns out that the voters in both of those areas actually are paying attention, which is, sometimes you wonder, are you guys really paying attention? Because it seems like you're missing out on some stuff here. Especially when they keep sending the same group of folks back again and again and again and again. And but we'll go through all the different parts of that as well, about what's happening in Sitka, some similarities in what's going on in Sitka and Juneau right now, including a recent vote in Sitka. They had a special election yesterday, and the outcome of that, we'll talk about that as well. Did I miss anything? I think that was the stories. Oh, I hadn't really paid attention to this, although I probably should have. And that is some new pieces of legislation that are aimed to help aid the seafood industry, to pull the Alaska seafood industry out of its tailspin, as Yareth Rosen writes for the Alaska Beacon. To pull the seafood industry out of its tailspin. And they passed some bills. And honestly, I feel a little bad. I hadn't really been paying attention to these bills as much as I probably should have. So we'll read through this stuff and kind of go over it and talk about it. But again, also want to hear what you guys have to say. If you would like to be part of it, feel free to give us a ring, 319-527-3864. And we'll get you on the phone, and we'll chit chat about, whatever it is that you want to talk about here this morning. Or you could always join us along with all the other, the crazy people that are in the chat room. We've got about 50 people in the, 50 people in the chat room here between Facebook and YouTube and Rumble, and you can come on over there and join us over there and see what you guys want to say, and meet with all the other crazy 6 o'clock club members, because that's what you're all members. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you are officially a member of the 6 o'clock club, which is just an unofficial club. It's an officially unofficial club where it's for folks who actually got up, where they got up and actually are listening to the show at 6 a.m. So it's all good. It's all good. So love to hear what you guys have to say. Sorry, Anthony. That was actually my first thought, Anthony. Anthony said in the chat room this morning, I'm going to do a lot of listener comments this morning, because through the phones or through the chat room, because sometimes the chat room has like some of the best commentary. It's awfully nice of the government to help the fishing industry out of its tailspin, considering the government is the one that's been attempting to put it into its tailspin for quite a bit. But see, that's the old Ronald Reagan quote, right? Government is not the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. That's the you can regulate it, you can tax it, you can, if it moves it, if it doesn't move, you subsidize it. I mean, that's the problem with government. And that actually is going to be a perfect segue into this discussion about what happened down in Anchorage with this stupid new ordinance they pushed through in the city of Anchorage. And I actually heard about this before I actually left Anchorage. I had some clients down there, and I had one guy just bend my ear for like 30 minutes on this one day. He was so upset, and the problems that it was going to cause and everything else. And he was 100% right. Turns out he was 100% right. But that's that's exactly it. Yeah, they break your leg and then expect you to be grateful when they give you a crutch. This is the problem with a lot of the do-goodery that we see. That is a word. The do-goodery that we see in elected officials around the country. is that you should be grateful that they somehow know better than you how things should be done and how they're going to, work through behavioral changes by fiat. They're going to be the morality police, or they're going to try and, protect you from you and everything else. All they do is make stuff harder, make things more expensive, make life more difficult for everybody. I mean, there might be a chosen few who would have benefited or been affected in a positive way or maybe a negative way by some of these laws. But overall, it's the average citizen who has to deal with the bourgeois of it that's causing that really gets sideways on it. So I think we'll start off with that story. Because it is just a snapshot into, well, what I think is probably wrong with what. Wow, it's what's wrong with government in a nutshell. That's the problem. It's everything that's wrong with government all writ large in one easy example that we can point to in Anchorage. Because remember, as goes Anchorage, probably so goes the rest of the state, right? It's like monkey see, monkey do. We've seen that. Well, we don't care what they do in Anchorage. Well, your assemblies do, your city councils do. They all are paying attention to what's going on in Anchorage. Don't think that they aren't. So you may not care, but you may want to just be checking it out just because. All right, we got to go here for a quick break. We'll come back. We're going to talk a little bit about this latest madness in Anchorage. We'll return in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. All righty then. How are ya? Time for some Soul Food Thursday. Soul food. Food. It all sounds delicious. It all sounds fantastical. I'm going through here. There was something else I wanted to pull up. Okay, that's it. Let's soul space. Okay, soul food. They're not making more money, but catching more and smaller pinks, says Frank. Some cheap property in Blatten, Switzerland, says Brian. I don't know what that means, Brian. I don't know what that means. Anthony says the government, as it currently exists, is kind of like wanting to lose a few pounds by next week. And instead of just eating right for a few days, electing instead to infect yourself with a Brazilian tapeworm for the rest of your life. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Cutting your nose off to spite your face. That was a fancy way of saying that. That's kind of what is going on. Joel says, I don't trust anything the Anchorage Assembly does. That's, yeah. Jeannie says, tonight at Paradisios in Kenai from 6 to 9, traffic no more. that must be some kind of anti-trafficking organization, Jeannie. I'm not familiar with it. Will be presenting their public education class, a great eye-opener of the amount of trafficking that goes on here on the peninsula. Jeannie, feel free to give them my contact info, and we'll have them on the program. I'd love to. I'd love to hear about that, and we could have them as a guest. So feel free to drop them some info there. Armed at AK said Sitka has become an extension of California. Well, I think it's more of a northern suburb of Seattle, but I get your point. I get your point. Frank says, that's okay, MD. Commercial fish is just another subsidized industry. When I said I wasn't paying attention to the to those fishing bills. But yeah. Sixers can't beat them. The 6 o'clock club members can't beat them. Nope. Beautiful Sixers. I agree, Kim. Yeah, feel free to have them call me. I mean, I would love to, I'd love to hear more about it. Sadly, Anchorage is the new Seattle. Oh, they wish they were the new Seattle. But I mean, I don't understand the direction that Anchorage is going. I don't understand the whole mindset. And I thought there was going to be some pushback with the election of Bronson and everything else, but it didn't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Califitka. I'm going to stay away from the Califitka, says Anthony, which is California and Sitka, the Califitka. That sounds too much like the caliphate. Yeah, it's a tough situation. All right, well, we are up against the break here, and we're ready to rock and roll. I did notice somebody sent me a text yesterday and said a couple episodes of the show on the podcast were not showing up, and I had to go back and nudge something, and I don't know. It still said the audio was processing. I got it fixed, so Friday and Tuesday's episodes are now up and available. But if you do notice that, feel free to always drop me a line, and we'll get it fixed if we can. So here we go. Let's do it.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, 319-527-3864. If you'd like to sound off this morning, we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Any topic is fair game today. We'll talk about anything that you wanted to talk about. When you're filling the assembly with people from, we were just talking about how Sitka, somebody said Sitka is the new Los Angeles. And I said, well, no, it's really more of a northern suburb of Seattle. And Anchorage is trying to be more like Seattle. I mean, these are the cities that you don't want to be like, right? You don't want to be like LA. You don't want to be like Seattle. Look at the mess that these folks have got themselves in out there. It was crazy. It is absolutely crazy. The behavior and what's happening there and everything else with stuff that's going on. Let's proceed ahead over to the story that I wanted to get into. The story is about the city of Anchorage. They are now considering, Alex DeMarban over at the ADN writes about this. They are now repealing a measure that they put into place just 2 months ago. Now, again, I was in Anchorage in, I guess it was late October, early November, And I was talking to a couple of my clients, and one of them was like, one of them, he was heated about this new ordinance that was coming out. And so apparently they just passed it 2 months ago, and now they're talking about repealing it. The ordinance would mandate identification checks for anyone purchasing alcohol, no matter how old they look. Now, I find it ironic when I walk into a store. I actually look older than I am. My beard is like totally white. For those of you who don't know what I look like, I have a beard and it's white, and they say that I look like Santa Claus, right? I mean, it's like I'm only 55. I said that to somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh, you're back in my day, and I'm like, "Well, I'm only 55." And he's like, "Oh, I'm 73." Okay, so all right, I'm not, but I don't look like I'm under the age of 21, right? And I always find it amusing and irritating when somebody asks me for my ID to check my age. It's just one of those things where it's like, I am obviously over 21, all right? But in their infinite wisdom, the assembly in Anchorage decided that it was a good idea to mandate identification checks for anyone purchasing alcohol, no matter how old they look. Now, surprise, surprise, there's been a huge outcry from bars, restaurants, breweries, whose owners say that it's angering their patrons, hurting sales, and harming the city's reputation as tourist season heats up. The mandate passed unanimously back at the end of December, and ostensibly, it was to prevent people under the age of 21 from purchasing alcohol and to reduce drunk driving. Now, I would argue that we've already got plenty of laws on the books that will prevent that. That, again, one more law that makes it more difficult for business owners is not going to help people who are, again, one more law, right? It's up to curb alcohol sales to people with the red stripe on their driver's license. That's people a red stripe driver's license is people who are not supposed to drink as a condition of their release, like a court order, they're not supposed to drink. But now Assembly members Volland and Myers, both of whom voted for the mandate, are now sponsoring a proposed rollback along with the brand new Assembly member Yarrow Silvers, because of the huge outcry from the public. Now, it would still require mandatory ID checks at liquor stores. That's been going on since 2011. Okay. I mean, I guess you can't, why you would have to ID a guy who looks like me or somebody who looks like my grandmother or whatever. I don't know, but, sure, you do you with your bureaucratic, yeah. So one of the reasons why these guys changed their minds is that many businesses are complaining that tourists and other patrons are unaware and are confused by the ordinance, because many tourists show up without the ID on their persons. Apparently, they're leaving it in their hotel room. I don't know what, but they just show up. He said, there's folks that just say, I brought my elderly parents out for dinner. They didn't have ID, or I'm hosting folks from out of the country and they didn't know to bring their passports or their ID to dinner. It was, now the red stripe thing was one of the reasons why Volland voted for it. But he said, people can get around that by displaying, like a passport. So if somebody's got a red stripe driver's license, they could just show their passport if they have one. But many of the people downtown are saying, look, many people from outside Anchorage aren't aware of the municipal law, and that the restaurants in downtown are losing business daily because not everybody brings their passport or ID to come down and have a dinner or lunch. There was a story about an elderly lady who got upset. The older tourist, she called the server an idiot because she wanted to have a glass of wine with her meal, and she'd already taken a $20 cab fare to the wasn't going back to get her ID. But this is the point here. This is the whole key to everything right here, folks. This is a summation of everything that's wrong with government right here. Karen Bronga, former assembly member, who championed the law, said she believes the administration of Suzanne LaFrance was slow to get the messaging out about the ordinance. Not that the ordinance is bad, but they were slow to get the messaging out. So I don't think we did as good a job as that as we could, she said. But I don't think we just need to throw this out. Rather, we need to figure out a way to get the message out better. The message. To just let people know, suck it up, you're going to have to show your ID. That was the message. I mean, that's there's a lot of people who are obviously tourists and they're only in town for 2 or 3 days and they really don't care about Alaska politics or what's going on in the city or anything else. And you're saying this is all about, oh, we should have just gotten the message out. She did say, how gracious of her, that she would be okay with a tweak that would provide an exemption for restaurants where people have a meal with their drink, helping to slow the alcohol absorption down. What? I mean, who died and made you the arbiter of all? Oh, man. It's this whole thing of they are going to basically, through the force and will of the government, they're going to nanny state you to death. She said the repeal, if approved, will increase the risk that someone will drive drunk after leaving an establishment. Showing the ID will prevent them from getting drunk. She said, I heard from somebody who said, well, it's already illegal to drive drunk, so why are you adding this extra step? Well, this extra step, the process of pulling the card out or showing it to the server, you'll be more able to evaluate whether somebody is being overserved by how they pull their ID out. Maybe they're just mad that you're... This is the do-goodery that I'm talking about. This is behavior modification through the force of government. Just like we have behavior modification through taxation, where they want to tax, like sin tax, like on cigarettes or alcohol. They want to increase that. They're going to try or the sugar tax, right? They want to modify your behavior through taxation. And that's what they're trying to do here. We're going to modify your behavior. Show us your papers. Show us your papers. And all they're doing is making it more difficult for honest, legal, law-abiding business owners and honest, legal, law-abiding patrons like me who are very obviously not under the age of 21. All you're doing is making our lives miserable. But they're doing it for our own good. Don't you see that? Don't you see that they know better than us how these things should be done? I mean, it's insane. Who's the other person here that was quoted in this article? I'm sorry, I lost my. I'm just getting so. Anna Brawley. She is the other assembly person that sponsored the measure. She said she doesn't support the appeal. She said the requirement makes it less likely that someone with a red stripe driver's license could purchase an alcoholic drink and potentially drive under the influence. Again, if you've got a passport, if you're going to go to that effort, then, what is so materially different or wrong? And if somebody's really going to go out and drink, you think they're going to show up with their red stripe driver's license, or are they going to have a friend go buy them a 6-pack at the store and bring it back to them? I mean, this is crazy. Silver Meyer said that he proposed the rollback after initially supporting the mandate because multiple establishments and businesses wanted it. He said, I introduced the repeal because my constituents asked me to. Well, hello. The newest elected member of the that was Scott Myers. The newest elected member is Yarrow Silvers, and she said she's struggling to understand why the law is needed. Like, why? It's already illegal, she says, to serve alcohol to minors. So I'm trying to figure out how checking an ID of a senior citizen before serving them a glass of wine prevents minors from drinking. I see a lot of downsides to the law, but I don't see a lot of upsides. But see, folks, this is what goes on in every aspect of government, and especially in places that you're seeing it a lot in Anchorage, because again, it's become a northern suburb of Seattle where they want to control every aspect of your. Oh yeah, we need to do that. I mean, it's already illegal to drink while you're underage. It's already illegal to serve alcohol to minors. It's all, when Granny with her blue hair and her walker wants a glass of wine with lunch, it should be pretty obvious that she's not underage. And now you're putting all the burden onto the servers. They're the ones that are going to have to bear the brunt of all this kind of stuff. Again, no, just no. Yarrow Silver is 100% right. Why is this law needed? I'm trying to figure out how is this going to help? Well, we have to do something, right? It's virtue signaling, and they're going to try and modify the behavior of everybody with the force of government. That's what it's all about. And this happens in communities all over the state, all over the country. Anchorage is just a prime example of how that looks right now. But again, you can only push it so far before people lose their mind and say enough is enough. And they're pushing back on this, as I think they should. Very happy to see them push back on this, because we don't need that. We got no need for that. But maybe you think I'm wrong. Maybe you think this is the good thing to prevent underage drinking or over serving. Maybe that's what you call up and tell me why I'm wrong. 319-527-3864. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show, because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Yeah. This is nuttier than squirrel poo, man. This is just nuttier than absolute squirrel crap. That these guys are like, oh, well, we need to do this because, for your own good. We're going to put all of this stuff on, the business owners and the servers and all those people. Let them catch all the wrath, and we'll be able to pat ourselves on the back to tell us what a good job we're doing in protecting the public from drunken young maniacs or something. I have never understood these. I've never understood the whole drinking law thing anyway, but the drinking age law thing anyway. But the fact that, you're already checking it at liquor stores. Okay. I guess, although again, nothing pisses me off more than standing in a liquor store, just three of us in line, all of us obviously over 50 years old. And she's asking them to dig out their IDs to make sure that they're over the age of 16 or 21, or whatever. It's just like, okay, I'm about to give you my money. And I just, if I could go somewhere else where they wouldn't ID me, I'd probably go there and buy my booze, even if it was $1 more, because seriously, It's just so irritating. But this is, again, these are people who are obviously not under, but they're just so proud of themselves. Oh, we just need to protect. We need to protect them. We need to, you know. And this red stripe thing is all about, I mean, first of all, I can't imagine that there's a lot of people who've got a red stripe driver's license. They're going to go to a wine bar or something like that. I mean, if they've got that kind of problem with alcohol, they're probably, again, Mad Dog 2020. They're not getting the latest Chablis from Chateau Ste. Michelle. They're getting the Mad Dog 2020 off the bottom shelf. You know what I mean? This is just, again, we know better than you how you should live your life. We're here to protect you from you. Oh, okay. I feel your pain. I was 50 and the girl behind the counter offered me a permanent fishing license, said Brian. I know, man. You got to take the, I told my wife the other day, I said, I'm thinking of shaving my beard off just for a short period of time. And she was like, what? I'm like, well, I mean, I look like I'm about 15 with my beard off, right? No, it's not true. I don't, anyway, I thought about it, but we'll see. We'll see. Yes, Mike, we miss you up here in North Pole, the Santa Claus show. Tim says, card everyone, just like going to a bar. Why? Why, Tim? Why would we do that? Let's see. My tinfoil hat starts buzzing about the ID laws. I'm not sure why a gas station needs to scan my driver's license if I buy something with nicotine or alcohol. I feel like I'm pinging myself on some GPS database with nefarious intentions. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. It's not the ID check themselves. It's the scanning it into a computer when my birthday is clearly printed on the front. Yeah, I've noticed that now more and more. It's not like, here, just check my ID. You could see that I'm over the age of, well, now we have to scan it. Why? Why do you have to scan it? And where is that going? You have obviously never resuscitated a 13-year-old who's had alcohol poisoning. I don't need to have resuscitated a 13-year-old who had alcohol poisoning. Did they go into a bar, Jeannie? Or did they go into a restaurant and order a bunch of booze there? I mean, it's a sad story. Don't get me wrong. It's sad that those things happen. Tell me how this law would have prevented that 13-year-old from having alcohol poisoning. That's my point. This had nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other. Yeah, Bronga is the one that I forgot about that. Thank you, Joel. Karen Bronga is the one that dressed up like the Handmaid's Tale during that public meeting. She's crazier. She's also nuttier than squirrel poo. Yeah. Really? I know some alcoholics that would willingly let you chop off a pinky Yakuza style to get boozed up. Showing their ID isn't going to deter squat. Exactly. I mean, that's the whole point. All right, I got one line on hold. We're 10 seconds out here. Greg says, what did I wake up to? This sounds crazy. Yeah, it is. Welcome to it. All right, here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Let's go.
Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
All right, let's continue ahead. We've got one line on hold. Somebody has something to say about what maybe not about what we've been talking about, but let's go over there and see what's going on. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Mike. It's Miguel Ramirez from Fairbanks.
Hello, Miguel. What's on your mind, my friend?
Just enjoying the lovely show and the craziness out of Los Anchorage.
Man, I tell you, isn't it crazy sometimes?
That is ridiculous. To me, that almost sounds like a form of communism.
Well, I mean, it's just again, it's regulation. It's death by 1,000 cuts. This is how you get to a state where they basically try to control everything about your life. I mean, if you're obviously, I mean, looking like somebody like me, I'm obviously over 21 years old. Why do you need to see my ID? Oh, now you want to see if I've been red striped? I mean, again, if I'm walking into a restaurant or, I mean, I don't, it's already illegal for me to do that. How is
I
how is
agree.
putting the server in harm's way or in the middle of that make any sense at all?
Well, my dad, who's 75, is getting ready to come up to Alaska for the first time. And if somebody asks him for an ID, I think his middle finger may come up in Anchorage.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my ID. Here's your sign right here. Here's your sign. But I mean,
Yeah.
this is what we're seeing across the country, and it's not just this one instance, right? I mean, it is the
No,
government being involved, and somebody just mentioned during the break, you know, that they go to buy something at the convenience store. You go to buy a can of chew or something else, and oh, they want to see your ID. Well, they don't just want to see your ID with the date of birth printed on the front. Now they want to scan your ID. Why are you scanning? What is that? Why? Who's tracking? I mean, I'm not paranoid, but at some point I'm starting to ask, where's all this information going?
that is why my family and I will never take a picture at the airport. When they say take a picture, you can refuse. We say nope.
You just say no. You don't do the scan where they snap your picture in front of the TSA.
No, my wife and I proudly say nope because TSA says it's not a requirement.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy. Again, we are in the information age. We are in the age where information and AI and data mining are a thing, and they can crunch
Yep,
down some of the craziest stuff and pull out. I mean, not that I'm doing anything wrong, but why would I want to give them any more data points on my life than I absolutely am required to by law, right? Why would I do that? It makes no sense whatsoever.
I was reading something yesterday. A lot of people now are saying now we're going to have to ask or how to verify if a video is AI or not.
Yeah. No, I mean, I see that. I see that that's going to be the next big push is that, how do we know that that really was you on the video call? It's creepy, but this is the world that we live in right now. But I just don't think that we need government in every aspect of our lives. And like this, making it harder for business owners and especially the servers, because they're on the pointy end of the stick and they're the ones that are going to take all the abuse.
Agree. We need smaller government, less government involvement, and just let people live their freedom, rightful
Right. I
law-abiding
mean,
citizens.
if they're going to break the law, they're going to break the law. Having them to check ID is not going to necessarily, I mean, how many kids have gotten into bars with fake IDs, right? I mean, at some point you're like, okay. And especially if they look like me or they look like you and they're obviously over 21, you're like, okay, that makes no sense whatsoever. But this is the nature of government, Miguel. This is once they take unto themselves that kind of power, they don't want to let it go. I'm surprised that they're trying to repeal this so quickly. Maybe something will actually happen, but we'll see. We'll see if the
And it's
businesses
at
in
us.
Anchorage kind of rise up and up, get an uprising going on there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So like we just had Memorial Day, all those that died for our very freedoms, and then trying to take those very freedoms away. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Absolutely. All right, Miguel. Well, thank you for calling in. Appreciate you sounding off this morning.
Thanks, Tom. We're gonna have some Southern fried chicken tonight and
Oh,
Southern soul food. And
oh man, it is. Is it Soul Food Thursday? Need some Southern fried. I
yep,
will.
it is Southern
Hey,
fried chicken,
I'll tell you.
mashed potatoes and gravy, homemade, corn on the cob.
If you get down to the peninsula, yeah, I had lunch yesterday at Ginger's restaurant. It was probably one of the best chicken fried steaks smothered in gravy that I've ever had. I had one meal yesterday, and the reason why is because I had that one meal at 11:45, and I could not eat anything else for the rest of the day. It was that good, and it was that
Check it out.
filling.
Should be headed down there fishing pretty soon.
Yeah, go to Ginger's. They got a chicken fried steak that is to die for. All right, my friend.
All
Thank
right,
you.
brother. Thank you for what you do. God bless the United States. God bless you, and God bless all of us Alaskans.
Appreciate that, Miguel. Thank you for calling in and joining us as well. 319-527-3864, 3864 if you would like to sound off. Now is the time to do so. Of course, the legislature has now obviously also, in a weird twist on the other side, has now put out a bill that would allow 18-year-olds to serve alcohol, which, I mean, I'm all for. Don't get me wrong. But it's ironic that on the one hand, the legislature is saying it's okay for 18-year-olds under supervision at their job to be able to serve alcohol, but everybody's got to be checked and ID'd. And, again, it's this interlocking web of laws that continue to, it's like you're trying to figure out which law am I following these days, which reminds me again of that book that came out. I think it was John Funt that wrote it. That was 3 Laws a Day, how every American citizen breaks at least 3 laws a day that they don't even know about because there's so many damn laws on the books. That's what's going on. But yeah, I mean, it's ironic that the legislature at the same time has passed a new bill that allows servers to, be younger because we've got a problem with, we can't get enough people. We can't get enough people to work in the state. They're having a worker shortage. And so in an effort to try and protect these businesses and allow them to be open for the year, they're making it easier for people to be able to serve the beer and wine and spirits and everything that they need to get going on there. But ironically, at the same time, the Anchorage Assembly is now carding everybody. Hey, don't worry, pretty soon they're going to card you to be able to make any public testimony. I'm sure that'll be the next thing, just to make sure that you don't break the law. I'm sure they will card and scan your ID before you can make any public comment at the podium. I mean, I don't know. I'm just stirring stuff up now. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just stirring stuff up. But I mean, again, when you think about it, how crazy is this? Pretty damn crazy. Not as crazy as what's going on down in Juneau and Sitka. That's coming up. We're going to talk about that after the top of the hour. Juneau and Sitka, and I don't know if it's happening in Ketchikan or not. It very well may be happening in Ketchikan as well. Those folks down there, well, some of those folks, I guess I should caveat that. Some of those folks don't seem to understand where their bread is buttered. They don't understand where the money to run their government comes from, because there's a lot of very, very pro-governmental regulation do-gooders down there who seem to think that it's all going to be fine if they cut off the supply of money to their government, which is what they've been proposing. So we're going to talk about that as well. Coming up tomorrow on the program, it is Firearms Friday. We'll have Willie Waffle on board, as well as, well, I got a couple phone calls out. I don't know if I'm going to, we'll see if we can wrangle some guests in here. It's always fun to talk to people in the industry about current gun regulations and everything else, but we'll see if we can do it. Otherwise, it'll be you and me and all the headlines that are fit to print. And of course, gun Q&A all day, where we answer any questions related to firearms that we can get away with. So be sure to tune in tomorrow morning for that as well. All right, we're coming up on the break. Up next, Juneau and Sitka. These people, oof. I mean, again, oof. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? If they keep getting they keep going the direction that they're going, they're going to need to bail out too, just like the fishing industry. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this. did that? Sorry, I just had something weird happen here, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Okay, well, that's why. That's weird. Okay. I think I got it. I think I got it figured out. Okay. Was trying to figure out what was happening. Okay, onward we go. Onward we go here. Let me go back to the chat room and see what you guys have been saying. Melissa says, as a bartender, it drove me crazy that we get fired if we didn't ID the old guy with the gray hair who is clearly in his 70s, all because it's for the safety to make sure they're over 21. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. and good question is, maybe I identify as somebody who's older, right? Maybe I identify as somebody who maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. MD knows the MD on bottom shelf. Now I can really relate. That's Mad Dog 2020. If MD gets 100 likes, he'll shave his beard off. Maybe. If I got 100 likes on today's show, there's only 60 of you. And you can only vote once. That'd be interesting. We have the largest number of military retirees with federal ID cards. There's no red stripe on those. Yeah, exactly. Jeannie says they feel like they have to protect people from themselves. Oh, let's see. Not sure if I could. Joel says he's not sure I could watch you if you shaved your beard. Well, that's not true. Come on, you could watch me. Willie said they pay $200 for a 750 milliliter jug of R&R in the villages. No ID required. Yeah, because they're dry villages. But don't tell anybody. Good morning. Let's see. I got carded at Safeway to buy a bottle of water in the liquor store. That was a few years ago. I was pretty pissed. You bought a bottle of water in the liquor store. Yeah, I'm not buying alcohol. I'm buying a bottle of water. Yeah. Jeannie says the state, when we're talking about scanning IDs and stuff, the state wants the information. That's why they're trying to sell controlled substances, and policies of the states dictates how to sell these substances. Melissa said she got carded for cough drops the other day. Wow. Ginger's is amazing, said Jeannie. I had that chicken fried steak. That was probably the best chicken fried steak I have had. And it's not often that I can't, I mean, you've seen me. It's not often that I can't clean my plate, but I could not finish it. I could not finish the meal. It was so good. I could not finish the meal, but that's how much food there was. Bosco was very excited to get some chicken fried steak and eggs because that's how much there was. Good morning. Morning, Jack. Alcohol and gun laws are stupid. Change my mind. Do they have to be together? Because then alcohol and guns, where is Ginger, says Greg? It's in the back of the Soldotna Mall there. You drive around the back of the Soldotna Mall, and it's right there in the back. It's delicious. Let's see. More rules, says Lisa. More revenue. Yep, you're starting to catch on. That you're starting to catch on. But you don't have to have an ID to vote, said Jack. I mean, you do in this state, but in many states you don't have to. Yeah. Tomorrow is our live on-air auction at Alaska Radio Auction, 8 a.m. It all goes live. That's right. KFAR, I will be broadcasting live right after the show at 8 a.m. Thanks for reminding me, because I would have forgotten otherwise. Would have been. That's precisely, says Jeannie, why the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron defense. Chevron deference. Government abusing their authority. Yeah, pretty much. All right, we got to go. Let's get to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
Sounds just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show. Streaming live across the world.
Oh, yeah, live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the great state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends. How are you doing? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to rock and roll? We are ready to go. What is my background picture? What are you talking about? I'm confused. Are you talking about that? Oh, yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? That's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, welcome back to the program. Thanks for coming in and joining us here this morning for hour 2 of the big radio show, which I didn't think we were going to spend. Sorry, I did not think we were going to spend a full 2 segments talking about the stupidity in Anchorage and ID laws. That's some madness right there. But you know what's even crazier? What's even crazier than that? People that bite the hand that feeds them. People that cut cut the nose off to spite the face. People that throw the baby out with the bathwater. What other analogy can I use for the stupidity that we see in groups of people whose entire community livelihood is wrapped up in something that they now want to destroy? We heard about this, right? We heard about this down in Juneau. Activists in Juneau were trying to get signatures to put another anti-cruise ship initiative on the ballot in October. They failed. They weren't able to do it. They wanted to put a hard cap on cruise visitors. They wanted to, we reached our limit. We can't do it. It's too much. What everybody fails to realize is the amount of economic activity that's generated. In 2023, the cruise industry accounted for $375 million in direct spending. 320 of it was passenger spending. $39 million was cruise line spending, and another $16 million from the crews of the cruise boats spending as well. It goes between the tours and the hospitality and the retail sector and everything else. I mean, they said that according to the study from McKinley Research Group, Juneau's cruise industry supports 3,850 jobs, 196 million in labor income, and a total spend in 2023 of $490 million. That's just direct spend into the economy. They didn't account for the city and borough of Juneau collecting $22 million in related fees like mortgage and head tax and everything else. And the assembly just approved a significant increase to the docking fees that'll raise an additional $2.5 million a year. Now, this supports the borough and the budget and the city. This is what pays the bills inside the city and borough of Juneau. I mean, plus they had another $18 million in sales tax revenue resulting from overall cruise industry spend. They are rolling in dough because of the cruise ships, and they want to, we can't, they're ugly, they're unsightly, they'll change our way of life. They just, no, we can't do it. Well, obviously they couldn't get enough. They couldn't get enough support in Juneau to get that. In Sitka, they did. And they held a special election yesterday. They had a special election, and preliminary results show that ballot measure was defeated 72 to 28%. 2,000 people voted against it. 800 voted for it. And there's some absentees, but there's not nearly enough to swing 50 points in swing. They said, the supporters of this measure said, we've got to preserve Sitka's quality of life, its natural environment, and its infrastructure. Again, what do you think is paying the bills down there? Are you going to look to Uncle Sugar to give, to break you out some more money? You think that Uncle Stedman is going to be able to break off some more money this year when we're already $1.5 billion upside down, and you want to cut the cruise industry off at the knees, and then you're going to look to Uncle State of Alaska to pay you some money? This is the same kind of thing. Well, we just want it to remain like it was. Hey, here's a news flash for you. Everything changes. Everything changes. You're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're rotten, right? If you don't grow, if you don't adapt, if you don't change, then you're stagnant. And I know some people want to put, their community in a little bottle and just hold it the way it is. I've heard that. I've already heard that several times down here in Homer. Oh, we just want it to be the way it was back in the, what? You guys didn't have any grocery stores? When you had dirt roads? I mean, how far back do you want to go to make it the way that it was? You've got to adapt. There's new things coming, right? There's always now you could control how much you change, but this idea of somehow, well, we can just, we can just stop the crew. We don't want your money. We don't want your cruise ship money. Go home. We want to live here in peace. How do you think the community is going to survive? What do you think is bringing all that? I mean, what do you understand how economics work? Well, apparently, the folks in Sitka, they done figured it out. Opponents, including many in the local business community, argued that the restrictions were too rigid and would have come with significant economic consequences for a city that depends heavily on summer tourism. Because they were going to shut it down. They were only going to May 1st to September 30th. You could only have 6 days per week in port. They had 1 day, one cruise free day. They had an annual cap of 300,000 scheduled passengers ashore and a daily cap of 4,500. They're bleeding money. They step on shore and these tourists are hemorrhaging money into the economy. And you're like, nope, don't want it. Nope, don't want it. Don't want to do it. I mean, you are living in the wrong state if you are against tourism and all that other kind. You are living in the wrong state for that. But this is the mentality of many of the folks out there. Again, we know better than you. We want to keep things just exactly the way they are in a time capsule. We want things to be, and again, my question is, how far back do you go? We want it to be the way it always was. Well, in the days when you had to run dog sleds back and forth or sledges, there was no highway. Oh no, well, we need the highway. Well, then what? I mean, progress is good, and yet you don't want to. I don't understand people. I do not understand people who are so short-sighted. Where is the money going to come from to pay for all these things that you want to do in your communities? Well, it'll come from the government. If you want to really get involved, what you do is you get with the cruise lines and you make a partnership with them, and you want to build stuff. They would love to be part of your community. I guarantee you. They would want to be part of your community. And then you could be in the driver's seat as to what exactly is going on. But again, this is that same kind of nuttiness that we're seeing. I mean, I see it, and I see it being analogous to some of the stuff that's going on in Anchorage as well. But cooler heads apparently have prevailed. So in Sitka, they figured it out. And in Juneau, they didn't even get enough votes or enough signatures to even get it on the ballot, because somebody figured out that, wow, our bread is buttered over here. This is the thing. $490 million in total spend. That's a lot of money for a community the size of Juneau. That's a lot of money. All right, let's continue on. We'll go over to the phones. The phone lines are open, by the way. It's open line, open form today. I'm just kind of free-forming it, talking about the stories that are hitting my funny bone. 319-527-3864. Let's go over here and see what's up. Who it is? Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, Homer.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
Well,
today?
I just appreciate what you're saying today. And one thing about I felt since I came to Homer for 50 years ago or whatever, that we have a couple of big cities that aren't really pulling their weight as far as local taxes. Now, forever, Anchorage people have whined and said that they have to pay so much property tax. Well, I think if you started comparing things that might not be quite that different from everywhere else, but sales taxes, you were just discussing sales taxes. And
right.
If Anchorage and Fairbanks, I should say, we're considering sales taxes like we do on the Kenai Peninsula, I have to wonder how much different their desires at Juneau would be. And
that's a good question. That's a real good question, because how much would they be about all this spending if all of a sudden in Anchorage you had to pay 5 or 6% sales tax to pay for all that stuff?
And you just said it. You said you just pointed it out that when you're traveling, when you're a tourist, what's a couple extra cents on the dollar?
Yeah.
No. But it would be a huge difference. And then we're constantly hearing about, oh, poor Anchorage, they can't do this, they can't do that. But yet our two biggest cities don't even charge sales taxes, that's my understanding. And we're down here at 7%. And then, in the summer it goes up as of, I guess, in a couple days. Down here, our sales tax will even go higher, or we won't be able to get food, certain food stuffs non-tax. But, the other thing is, I've worked on the spit in the summer, and I have a different attitude toward tourism. Alaska is a beautiful state. It's a bucket list state. And why, if you're that opposed to tourists, well, just stay home for a couple months. Don't go to town.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's sort
Stock
of
up.
like
Well, wait.
common sense.
Stock up on all your food before the tax goes up, right? Stock up your
Well,
freezer,
yeah,
and then don't
yeah.
leave the house for 2 months.
I-
That'll fix it right there.
There you go. You got it solved. And yet you have people who get to come to Alaska for a couple weeks their whole life. And it's huge. It's a beautiful place. Homer is amazingly beautiful. And so why not let other people enjoy it and, be a little bit more appreciative of where you live.
Right.
And
Right.
I always enjoyed working on the spit in the summer.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I thought it was fun.
I worked with tourists when I was a kid. When I was younger, one of my first jobs was working in the bus lines and some of the crews, working for the railroad and doing some stuff. I always enjoyed that. Look, these people dream of going to Alaska their entire life. Most of the people that are traveling are more elderly, right? They're probably 60 plus. They've dreamed their entire life of coming to Alaska. I've never understood why communities didn't at least have a seasonal sales tax, even if you had an exemption for residents. I mean, a seasonal sales tax, because like you said, they've just blown a whole lot of money to come to Alaska. They're not going to squawk about an extra $5 over the course of a stay because, they didn't do it. But when you count that times 300,000 people, that's a lot of money. Why wouldn't we do that?
Well, and when you look at our borough and how much sales tax we collect and how much of it goes toward education, and then you look at Anchorage whining their heads off about things, you go, well, guys, you have the tourists. Practically every tourist in the state goes through your town, and I don't understand why they can't see this. I don't get it. So,
well,
but I really believe that that is some of our solutions, and I appreciate your attitude. I just wanted to let you know.
well,
I agree with you.
I appreciate
it's a beautiful
that.
state. Let's share it.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy.
I appreciate
and
that.
then you can go down to the spit on Labor Day, whatever.
Yeah, on Labor Day. This is your Freedom Day. Labor Day is now your Freedom Day.
Yeah.
There's no more damn pesky tourists.
Thank you for your
right.
show.
I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for calling in today. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. I mean, again,
You're welcome.
you live here, you want people to enjoy it, and tourism is a huge industry. Why wouldn't you be all about that? I mean, I've never understood that attitude. Never have. All right, we are coming up on the break, so we're going to take it, and we're going to come back. Phone lines are open, 319-527-3864. You have a counterpoint? Maybe you think, too much tourism is bad, or maybe we shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I always thought if you wanted to capture a little bit more money in the economy, that if you wanted to have a seasonal sales tax, I don't see that being a big deal. I don't understand why more communities don't do it, especially when they've got a huge tourism influx. But that's just me. All right, we got to go. Back with more of the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay. All right, let's go over here. Just tell the cruise ship tourists to please stop jaywalking. Where are they jaywalking, Teresa? Where are they jaywalking? I want to know. $490 million. Sorry, my phone is going crazy this morning. It's giving me alerts that it should have given me yesterday. That's never good. Anyway, yeah, $490 million. That's what That's what the city of Juneau made in 2023. Oof, that's a lot of money. Some people in Seldovia, said Chris, wanted the money but not the tourists. How is it? I mean, how does that work? How does that work? Teresa said, kind of reminds me of the old people of us old people of the old 1970s bumper sticker. Alaska for Alaskans, Yankee go home. I mean, this is a resource. This is like a harvestable crop that comes in every year and you reap it and then you set it. I mean, yeah. Kevin, citizens against virtually everything. Cave people, let them freeze and starve in the dark. That's a citizens against virtually everything. I mean, that is some nutty stuff right there. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I just don't even know what to say to that. Okay. Brian, to answer your question, I think that if I remember correctly, that is a picture of the dock in Seward, I believe, if I recall correctly. I believe that's a picture. He was asking about this picture. I believe that's the dock in Seward. So, if I recall. Okay. Let me go back down to where we were here. I'm trying to get caught up. Sitka, the way it was. Let's see. Plenty of stupid to go around, says Greg. I agree. 1880 was when tourism started in Sitka, so they want it like it was before 1880. I'm still, maybe don't live in a tourist hub of the state if you hate tourists. Yeah. What is the number to call the show? Says Willie. Willie, it's right there underneath your thing, right? You see it right here. 319-527-3864. That's the number to call if you want to call the show. It's right here on the screen. Right here. So no Homer-centric picture. Well, there's plenty of Homer-centric pictures in there. I mean, that whole thing has got, I got pictures of Fairbanks. I got pictures of Homer. There's pictures of Kodiak. There's all kinds of pictures in there. So that's Seward, I think. That's obviously Anchorage. These are some pictures of Anchorage here. There's Fairbanks. There's Fairbanks. There's Fairbanks. There's Fairbanks. There's Cody. That's Homer. That's Anchorage. That's Kodiak. That's also Kodiak. That's Homer. See? That's Seward. Pretty sure that's Seward right there. So there's a bunch of different. You could choose your poison. Choose your poison there. Fairbanks. Homer. There you go. All right. We got to go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's get to it. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay. Hello. You ready to go? We are ready to jump into this here. Continuing on. Phone lines are open at 319 527-3864. 319-527-3864. If you want to call in and give us, I know Willie was asking in the chat room about the phone number. If you want to call into the show, feel free to do so. Any topic is fair game today. Yeah, I think there's a lot of feeling in the chat room that it's good, that tourism is good for the state. And again, it's almost like it's a forgotten byproduct in a lot of ways. We're so focused on oil, we're so focused on gas, and even in some cases on fishing, but we seem to forget that million tourists come into the state every year. And if you got $20 a piece from each one of them, that's in taxation across the state, which is probably not that hard. You could get a significant chunk of money here in the state. Why would we treat tourists like they're the enemy, which is how these communities in like Sitka and Juneau, how some of these, not obviously the communities as a whole, because they voted it down, but these cadres of people who are like, oh, we shouldn't have cruise ships. It's a blight. I tell you, it's a blight on this. Right. Whatever. Okay, great. Just, So anyway, no cruise ship limits in Sitka, no cruise ship limits in Juneau this year. And good for them. Good for them. I hope they're able to keep on rolling. Well, the makeup of the legislature is going to look different here in a couple of years. It's already been announced that Gary Stevens has announced he's going to retire. He is the senator for down here on the Southern Peninsula. And that covers Kodiak and the Homer area. And now it is, there's been a move. Louise Stutes has made her move to file for the seat. And in addition to that, Catherine Simpler, who's a Democrat from Kodiak, and Sheldon Prout, a Republican from Kodiak, have both filed for the seat as well. So now we've got a three-way race. I kind of wished that I had asked Sarah Vance yesterday if she was considering on running for the seat as well, because that would have been an interesting four-way race with Stutes and Vance and then Simpler and Prout. Interestingly enough, Simpler is she's an NEA officer. She's a representative on the NEA board of directors. So not only is she part of the education cabal, she is like in the driver's seat. She's up in the upper echelon of management of the driver's seat of that, which immediately is an immediate disqualification from my point of view for anybody running for public office right now. If you have any kind of affiliation with the National Education Association, I think that's a mark in the no column for me personally. Prout, I'm not familiar with. He was born and raised in Kodiak, and now he travels widely. He does advanced work for Vice President J.D. Vance. He works in the office of the Vice President. He's also worked as a deckhand and in college level athletic management as well. And his sister is also a press secretary for Nick Begich. So, I mean, they got apparently a very political family there. But so you've got a three-way race at least for the seat that is going to be vacated by Gary Stevens. And I think that there's a real possibility here. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I misspoke. They are jumping in. Prout and Simpler are jumping into Stutes' seat. See, that's my fault for getting ahead of myself. Stutes is running for Gary Stevens' seat. Prout and Simpler would be running for Stutes' empty seat. So interesting to say the least. I mean, all I can say to Kodiak is about time you guys maybe, got somebody on there who actually believed in their party platform. And that doesn't mean vote for Simpler. That doesn't mean vote for Simpler, okay? That I'm just saying that right now. That does not mean you should vote for Simpler on that. Nope, you should not, because I'm sure she believes in her party's platform. I'm saying if you voted for Prout, it seems like he is probably a little bit more true blue Republican conservative than Louise Stutes, who has been basically part of the Muskox caucus since she got started. She basically has caucused with the Democrats and the bipartisan coalition since, I think, her second year there. But I'm interested to know if Sarah Vance is thinking about running against Louise Stutes for Gary Stevens' seat. I don't know. Take a page out of what happened with Ben Carpenter. He decided to try and take a shot at that seat, and he lost. And we lost a good legislator in the process. That's the chances you take. But what we don't need is more of the NEA majority, the NEA voting bloc. Suzanne Downing over at Must Read wrote an article the other day that I've been wanting to get to. And she breaks it down as to how much influence does the education industry have in our governmental affairs. And it turns out it's a lot. It's a lot. First off, roughly 20% of Alaskans' lawmakers come from the public education careers, former teachers, professors, lobbyists, school board members. Then when you include those who have tied to education advocacy, so they've started their own nonprofits or they're tutoring businesses, or they former work as legislative aides, NEA-aligned nonprofits, the influence is about 35% of the legislature is in the bag for the current education industry. And she goes on to break down how that falls out. You've got Reps Sarah Hannon and Andy Story. Both are longtime public education insiders. Hannon is a former teacher and school board member and co-founder of Great Alaska Schools. Then you go up to the interior. You've got Maxine Dibbert, came right to the legislature out of a classroom. You got Rebecca Himshoot of Sitka, who was retired from teaching after 24 years. Then you got Ted Eichheit of Anchorage, who was a teacher for 25 years. You got Ashley Carrick, who is a teacher from Fairbanks. Elise Galvin is the co-founder of Great Alaska Schools. Andy Josephson taught at the school district in Lower Kalstag for 4 years. Jesse Bjorkman is a teacher and an NEA union official. Gary Stevens is a former professor. Elvie Gray Jackson was a teacher's aide, then an administrator, then served on the school board. And then you got the Republican Mike Kronk, who was a former teacher. That's just the ones right off the top of the head here. And this all comes back to, what are we going to be facing this coming session? Well, with a makeup like that, with an education industry support at roughly 35% of the legislature, where do you think we're going to be going? We're going to be seeing more. That's going to be the cry. And you're already seeing, we went through that article 2 days ago about all the superintendents telling the governor, don't veto it. This is barely going to squeak us through this 1 year. We're barely going to survive with this extra $200 million. We're barely going to make it. This is just the start. You've seen the commentary. The governor, from his point of view, has basically said throwing more money doesn't fix the problem if we don't have policy and structural reform. Administrative bloat remains a major problem in Alaska school districts. Between 2002 and 2020, in Alaska school districts across the state, between 2002 and 2020, administrative salaries rose 18%, while teacher pay increased just 1%. Now, we've been accused on this program of beating up on teachers. I think teachers should be getting the lion's share of any of that stuff, not the administrators. 18% salary increase for administrators and 1% for teachers. Tell me how that works out. Today, Alaska has approximately 5 non-teaching staff for every 4 teachers. So you got 5 administrators for every 4 teachers in the classroom. You got 5 administrators. Tell me how that's going to work out. Why do we have such a large, it's all these, and again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't allow people to go out and run for office and do things regardless of their former profession. I'm saying maybe somebody else needs to step up and fill some of these gaps or run against some of these folks, because this is why we're getting this argument now and why they're making such headway on it. There's a lot of water carrying going on here. 35% of the legislature in the pocket of the education establishment. That's why they don't want any kind of policy changes. They just want, shut up and give us our money. Shut up and give us our money. And oh, that wasn't enough. We'll be back next year. That's what's coming. That's what we're looking at. And it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. All right, I got one line that just locked in on hold. We're going to be to them. We're going to take their call first thing on the other side, but we got to go to this break. We'll be back. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we got one caller on hold. We're going to be to you here in just a minute, caller. I'll be back. We'll be back to you here in just a minute. I got 2 callers on hold now, so we'll be taking these callers here in just a little bit. Going back here to what you guys are seeing. That Seward picture is stunning. Yeah, there's some great pictures in there. All right. Tawny's like, how about Willow, Denali, or Hatcher Pass? I only have so much time to put pictures in there, Tawny. Every now and then I throw a new one in. We'll see. Oh. All right. No winter pictures, says Tawny. Well, there are winter pictures, but I try not to show them too much. Let's see. Gary, of course, moving to Hawaii. Sanction Stutes for being a rhino voting with the Democrats. I mean, they could sanction her. The party could, but that would require the local party in Kodiak to do that, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They wouldn't do it with Gary Stevens. They're not going to do it with her. Isn't that a conflict of interest, says Larry. This is Lisa and Gary, which I shortened to Larry. Lisa and Gary is now Larry. I mean, you could argue that, but I don't know. Substack that he posted, Seward's Folly. I gotta get him on the program. The guy who writes the Seward's Folly Substack. He gets some good stuff. Has some analytics for the Senate race for District 5 and 6. I'll take a look at that. Thank you, Kevin. Is Ben Carpenter going to run in the next election? I kind of doubt it. I don't know. I haven't really talked to him about it, but I kind of doubt it. More. Yeah. Next, it will be an NEA lobbyist, former administrator pushing for defined benefits. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, in addition to the teachers being in NEA's pocket, they all get PERS defined benefits. Yeah. So I'm sure you're going to see a lot of that. Lisa says, this Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m., come join us at Nikolaevsk School. We had a meeting yesterday with the KPB and KPBSD. Everyone excited about a charter school. So we will continue to fight for our school building. Good for you guys down there. Good for you. Yeah, actually, any district can sanction it, and if 19 districts pass it, the state ARP will vote for it. My understanding from Charlie France was that if both the districts that the person serves in vote for it, then it's a sanction, and then it can go up. But if the one does and one doesn't, then it's got to go to the other 19. It's the harder route. You're right. It's a harder route for sure. Rhonda's talking about the Alaska Sustainable Energy Conference. Let's talk about this. I don't know anything about it, Rhonda. You'll have to educate me. You'll have to educate me on that. Man, whatever this is kicking my butt. I've not slept well in the last couple nights. I'm just like all stuffy and just went to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock last night, and still just oof. All right, I'm all caught up on all the comments. Let me go over to the phone lines here and get some names real quick before we jump back on the radio. We're about a minute out or so. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning. Who's this?
Okay.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Are you there? I'm not sure if he's listening. All right, we'll come back to him first. Here's the second caller. Good morning. Who's this?
Hi, this is Rhonda.
Hello, Rhonda. You hold the line. You'll be number 2 in the queue. Okay. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back to you. You can tell me all about this energy conference thing. All right. We're going to continue here. In just a second. We're just about to ding the bell for 30 seconds out. Yeah, everybody's saying allergies. I've never suffered from allergies in my life. Well, that I know of. But again, I've never been down here for a long time in the springtime, so maybe it's a whole different thing. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. All right, here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Do all the stuff. Let's get to it. Here we go. No, I mean, like, here we go now, because
Public enema number 1. Oh, wait, sorry. Enemy. Public enemy number 1, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a pain in the whatever. It's the Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. We're taking your calls, 319-527-3864. We got 2 callers on hold. We'll see if the first caller will answer us this time. We tried to talk to them during the break, but they weren't paying attention, I don't think. So let's go over here and see what they have to say. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Can I hear you? Yes, I can hear you. Who is this? Can you let me? I just accidentally muted you again. Can you hear me now? Caller.
Why am I unmuted?
You're unmuted. That's you. Go ahead. Caller, now is the time to talk if you want to talk. Can you hear me, caller? Can you hear me? All right. He apparently can't hear me. we'll see if we can get him. We'll see if he'll call back. We'll go back over here and see what else is going on. Rhonda's on the line over here. Rhonda, what's on your mind, Rhonda? What's going on? Can you hear me? Go ahead.
Hello.
Wow. All of a sudden,
I'll call back.
Okay, you call back. Everybody, all of a sudden, nobody can hear me. I mean, I can hear myself, and everybody on the internet can hear me. Let me fix what's going on. You know what it is? It's one of those things. Here we go. Let me go over and do my thing here. All right. That looks good. And here we go. All right. So supposedly everybody should be able to hear me now. Let's try that again. We'll try that one more time. Hello, caller. It was me. It wasn't you. What's on your mind?
Is this Bob?
It is. Hello. Hello, Bob. What's on your mind?
It's something working. Okay, so taxing tourists.
Okay.
I got a horrible echo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going on.
Taxing tourists.
You there?
I am here. Again? No, I'm here. Go ahead. Taxing tourists.
So tourists pay my property taxes on my B&B. They also pay 11% taxes in Seward, between borough, city, and bed tax. Plus, they have a head tax off the cruise ship and more taxes. No. I mean, businesses open in the spring and they close in the fall, and basically they roll up the sidewalks for winter. And if you like no tourism, that's a good time to come.
Yeah, so, right. No, right.
I'm just not for any more taxes. We just need to live within our means, and we actually need to cut taxes and all that crap. We're spending way too much money on trash. And that's just the way it is.
No, I agree with that. I agree with. I was not advocating
we have 3 schools here. We have a grade school, a middle school, and a high school, and every student would fit in one building.
Right. No, look, I'm not advocating for more taxes. I was just saying for communities like Fairbanks or Anchorage, and they're always struggling, and yet they've never had a seasonal sales tax to capture some of that seasonal money that would come through there. That was my question. I'm not advocating for more taxes on places
more
that are
taxes. All they want is more.
Well, that's true too. I mean, that's true. I would like to see some offset in some of the property taxes in like Fairbanks for some of those things. If you could get it as an offset, that would be great.
They'll just spend the money.
Well,
that's what happens here.
That is true.
Spend the money.
Yeah. Well, that is the nature of government, right, Bob? I mean, is that they will spend every available dollar and then some.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. All right. Need it. Well, I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you for calling in. Thanks for calling back. I appreciate you being patient with us here this morning. Right. Let's go over here. Rhonda is on the line again. Rhonda joins us now. Hello. Hello. You can hear me now.
Yeah, this is Rhonda from Seward, and Bob's my neighbor. And I don't really totally agree with Bob in the sense of, I don't mind taxing some of the seasonal stuff going on because they put a lot of burden on our infrastructure, and they make the sirens go off more, and there's cleanup, but there's also the benefit that people clean up the town and welcome the guests in. But we've really turned into sort of a rec room and a bedroom down here, part-time bedroom. So
a rec room and a part-time bed. That's the first time I've ever heard of a community being compared to a rec room and a bedroom. I mean, it's but I mean, I think if you could justify some kind of tax like that, like a seasonal sales tax, and still have it offset the property taxes and, like you say, pay for the infrastructure usage, that's good. But Bob does have a point that the nature of government is to consume every dollar that's out there and then some.
Well, I'm going to go to the other line because this is crap. Well, okay. Anyway, we have actually because of the attraction here, our property taxes, our assessments have gone up hugely. And the borough had just talked about, or Michiki was proposing to go to the state to control the, well, there's a statute that says you have to always assess things at the market value. And so our market value has become severely inflated.
Right,
and so our property taxes have gone up. Some people claim that they've gone up 100% in 4 years, you know, and they haven't done a thing to their property. And so it gets to be a real burden. He was asking to control that, to put a lid on it at 5%. But I guess there's other ways we can do it too in the borough.
I mean, have you heard about Chris Story's?
Like that.
Have you heard about Chris Story's fair tax that he's talking about?
No.
Yeah, so Chris Story is actually trying to get a citizens initiative going to have a fair tax where it would be modeled after California's Prop 13, where when you purchase a property, your tax rate is fixed in at your purchase price, and it stays that way until you sell it. That would be you should check in it. Chris has been talking about it, and in fact, we've talked about it on the show a couple times. You can go back and listen to the podcast because he talks about that specifically. The fact that, you know, property values have gone up 120% in some cases.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be discussed because it's Homer and Seward, the bookends of the borough, seem to have experienced that a lot. The other thing I want to talk about, just a little touch on the education and they've tied like our pools to the BSA too. So they threatened to close our pools, and so they want me to write in for, you know, increasing the budget or the education budget. I'm just like, can't we unhinge these pools? That might help, you know, and put some of that burden on the borough or the school or the city to help fund that. That's an idea.
Right.
We pay $21,000 per student, our bricks and mortar student here at the Kenai Peninsula Borough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shouldn't that money get into the classroom directly? That's the question. I mean, shouldn't it be, this money should be going straight into the classroom instead of going into some of these ancillary things? You're right. They shouldn't be tying swimming pools to BSA.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of other people in the community use the pools and just the school, and so it seems like they could, you know, collaborate with funds from other entities to help them out there. And then I don't know, did the governor get any of his reforms in on that?
No, essentially no. They paid some lip service to some of it, but he basically got none of the major policy changes in. That's why he threatened to veto it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, in addition to spending a lot of money, it's expensive to live in Alaska. And so I was hoping that at some point you would maybe have an energy forum, bring on Chris Thayer, our Alaska Energy Authority head, and other people and they're having a huge, big energy conference, June 3rd through the 5th.
Okay.
They got some great speakers, and they're talking about, all the different energy options and our, the future of our oil and gas and innovative ideas and even the LNG project. And
sure.
Anyway, I would just think, I think you should have some speakers on that. I think that would be really intriguing because we're kind of hurting here along the Roosevelt Belt, you know.
Well, if you would send,
of energy.
It sounds like you're kind of up to speed on that. If you want to send me an email with some names, I'll see if I can reach out and find these folks and bring them on. We just talked with Sarah Montalbano about this last week, Alaska Energy and some of the options that are out there as well. But Rhonda, if you want to send me an email, me at michaeldukeshow.com with some names and who's doing what and who you think would make good guests, I'll see what I can do. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I'll just forward you the Alaska Sustainable Energy, the flyer that they have that they're putting out, and there's a lot of people around that could be maybe tapped into. So
okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Rhonda. Thank you for calling in.
What was that email or the email address again?
It's me at michaeldukeshow.com. And
me.
Yeah, me, okay. Not you, but me. And you'll see it if you're watching the screen. Okay. You'll see it up on the screen as well. Folks, we got to go. We are out of time for today. Thank you for being part of it. Tomorrow's Firearms Friday. We'll see you then. Be kind, love one another, live well. Okay. Yeah. So, Rhonda, if you're still in the chat room there.
Goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. You'll see it here pop down right underneath the phone number there. You'll see the email address here in just a hot second. And you can, right there, see it? That's the email. All right. Well, I would love to AlaskaSustainableEnergy.com, says Kevin. I get a little leery at the whole sustainable energy thing. Unless we're talking about nuclear and hydro, I don't know how sustainable it is. That's just in my opinion. But we'll see. We'd like to see. All right, my friends. Well, we got to go. Thank you for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow. Be kind, love one another, live well. Like the show. I didn't get 100 likes. Brian said I'd shave my beard off if we got 100 likes. We only got 27. What's up with that? Huh? Apparently, nobody wants to see me without a beard. That's what it is. All right, we got to go. We'll see you.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.
Bye.